Elon saw something different. Elon believed we can reuse these rockets.
The reason I started SpaceX was to help make life multiplanetary, to get humanity to Mars.
Just minutes after liftoff, SpaceX's live stream suddenly went dark. But before the screen cut out, sharp-eyed viewers noticed something unusual: a mysterious object darting past the rocket.
For the first time, radar images recorded inside a Navy ship that swarmed around the ship for hours.
Was it a technical glitch, stray space debris, or something out of this world?
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs.
As questions spiral and theories explode, Elon Musk's silence only adds fuel to the fire.
But this time he was talking. He started to allude to the space mission.
Could SpaceX have witnessed an alien encounter right before our eyes? Join us as we uncover the bizarre details, explore the possible explanations, and dive into what really happened during SpaceX's latest mission. Buckle up. This is one space mystery you don't want to miss. The incident: UFO sighting during Polaris Dawn mission. SpaceX was set to embark Polaris Dawn on a routine space adventure, but little did anyone know that just minutes into the flight of the Falcon 9 rocket, something unusual would soon unfold. An unidentified object moving at incredible speed passed by the rocket, live on air for everyone to witness.
This object you see here was caught on camera flying past the SpaceX rocket just minutes after liftoff last week.
It came at such a close distance to the rocket as it launched that speculations ran rampant in the glued eyes of viewers watching the screen. In a surprising twist, SpaceX closed the live stream just shortly after it was recognized. Many thought that this raised some eyebrows and that SpaceX might be hiding something. Is this for safety? Or does the team need to review what is happening without public observation? This made the live stream blackout add a mystery of suspense, while that was meant to be just a usual broadcast.
The internet lighting up with questions over this video. Did the object come from the rocket or from somewhere else?
Jared Isacman was on board the Polaris Dawn mission as the first non-professional civilian astronaut to conduct a spacewalk. He has been part of the history-making journey undertaken by SpaceX as it increases civilian space exploration. Involving him added that extra dimension of excitement. He and his fellow crew members were on a historic mission that was going to be commemorated for reasons no one could have foreseen. As the video clips of the mysterious object became viral on social media, rumor was quick to spread. Was this mysterious object a fragment of space junk, an ice crystal, or something more? While some could dismiss it offhand as merely another mundane occurrence in the cosmos, others felt that perhaps this might be an indication of extraterrestrial activity. This only served to feed an already swelling wave of conspiracy theories on the timing and the decision per se, which many claim has happened to SpaceX before. However, the Polaris Dawn mission continued with no regards as it went into orbit with the crew. Every milestone that SpaceX achieves leaves this incident as a footnote to it. The object that is still in full explanation reminds the world of the unknowns facing humanity in space, which has fueled the public's curiosity and has eyes on the sky looking forward to the next close encounter. But just who was on board to witness this strange encounter firsthand? Jared Isacman's role as a civilian astronaut. Jared Isacman is a well-known entrepreneur and pilot who also made space history by being the first civilian astronaut for SpaceX on the Polaris Dawn mission.
You know, for our mission pillar of generosity, that was all going to be a fundraising campaign for St. Jude.
He is the founder of Shift 4 Payments, a philanthropist, and expresses his love for space through his partnership with SpaceX. His journey to the stars forms part of a big leap in opening up the exploration of space to more non-professional astronauts. In this mission, Isacman was not just a passenger, but the mission commander, responsible for the safety of the crew and success of the mission. His role distinguished him among other astronauts who have gone into space as civilians because he led a crew that included more important duties to perform for the missions, such as carrying out scientific experiments and conducting tests of space technology. Isacman's role and responsibility further highlighted the increasing involvement of civilians in the exploration of space. The most memorable moment in the journey of Isacman was his first spacewalk. This was the first spacewalk by a non-professional astronaut. The EVA was conducted in specially designed suits by SpaceX, tested for the harsh conditions of space. The spacewalk was a new era of possibilities and showed that well-trained civilians could carry out challenging and essential tasks beyond Earth's atmosphere. The mission was married to partnerships in order to inspire philanthropy, as Polaris Dawn is working with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, an organization he has supported at length. Pediatric cancer help funds and awareness serve to focus on this worthy cause, illustrating how the impact of a space mission can be far-reaching, driven by an idea inspiring even more social efforts with Isacman at the helm. As the first human mission under the command of Isacman, Polaris Dawn proved civilians not only could venture into space, but could actually contribute to science, technology, and philanthropy. This spacefaring dream turned into reality because of Isacman's compelling leadership and dedication to pushing the boundaries. He thus has become part of the history of space, representing an exciting new role for civilians in the future of space exploration. Previous UFO sightings around space missions. Ufology is far from a new thing accompanying space missions, and they raise several interesting debates and even worries among space enthusiasts and scientists in the general public. By way of illustration, cases near SpaceX rockets have been captured on live events. These will disappear after just a few seconds, leaving viewers to question whether they have just had a glimpse of something extraterrestrial or just a scientific phenomenon. One such memorable sighting is the SpaceX Crew Dragon launch to the ISS in 2021. Several minutes into the launch, people noticed an object shooting by the rocket. The brief appearance on live feed left many speculating about the nature of the object that was seen, and many were convinced it was not an ordinary object. The U.S. Space Agency, NASA too, has a long history of unexplained sightings during its missions. There is the Tether incident of 1996 during the STS-75 mission, when a 12-mile tether broke off and floated away with dozens of glowing objects around it as seen on camera. Ice particles and space debris, the U.S. Space Agency said, explained those objects. But UFO enthusiasts around the world believe that to be one of the clearest signs of extraterrestrial activity. In 2005, some footage was caught by astronauts on the Discovery shuttle of another mystery object during the STS-114 mission. This long, cylindrical object moved near the shuttle, forcing NASA to delay their return to Earth as they weighed possible risks. The explanation eventually was chalked up to a piece of fabric-like thermal blanket, but it was just one more added to the list of mysterious space encounters. Even the U.S. Department of Defense has admitted UAPs, which the U.S. military often refers to when reporting near military or space operations. The re-releases of UAP reports by the Pentagon in the recent past have once more revitalized interest in UAP sightings, with many researchers hypothesizing such phenomena may have a bearing both on the military and on the space sectors. These documented sightings, though sometimes explained as natural occurrences, keep feeding the popular interest in the possibility of life beyond Earth. Was it just space debris? This raises the age-old question, is it just space debris? SpaceX has been faced with the same kind of sightings earlier, and most of these have been considered to be space debris or ice particles that break from the rocket due to extreme conditions. In space, temperatures go drastically up and down, creating ice around the liquid oxygen tanks or other regions. These ice crystals often break off during launches and float near the rocket, creating brief, shiny blips on camera that can easily be mistaken for something mysterious. In orbit near Earth, more than 27,000 bits of tracked space junk crisscross the planet at orbital velocities. Some of these particles are as small as flakes of paint, yet even tiny bits can be major threats to spacecraft. Perhaps what was captured on camera during the mission of Polaris Dawn was merely a small piece of this debris, a fragment from an earlier mission, an expired satellite, or perhaps even the remains of the rocket. Still, the potential proximity to the spacecraft given the live feed added a lot of drama to the whole affair, giving rise to these stories of a UFO. Another reason is ice, which is formed around rockets by the cryogenic propellants that fuel them. As these rockets rise and shatter into space's vacuum, this ice breaks off and floats, refracting light and sometimes appears as bright moving objects. Viewers during previous SpaceX missions have witnessed similar sightings, which SpaceX explained as caused by ice particles. Since the live stream shut down, Many are questioning if this was truly just another ice particle moment. Although there is a rational explanation, the timing and abrupt termination of the feed have triggered waves of speculation. Many think that although most sightings are ice or debris, the fact that SpaceX decided to cut the live stream could mean something else is unusual. In turning off the feed, SpaceX inadvertently fueled the theory that something more than space debris happened in this sighting. While official comment from the SpaceX side remains elusive on this object's nature, we probably saw ice or debris, a common part of space travel that is sometimes visible and misinterpreted. Regardless, the mystery and intrigue of these events remind us of how much more there is to be learned about the vastness of space and the occupants of known and unknown objects. Could there be more to the story than just a harmless chunk of debris? Why SpaceX shut down the live stream? Most of the viewers in the world were left hanging when the SpaceX live feed suddenly went out during the Polaris Dawn mission, immediately leaving questions on why this happened. The object that was recently sighted and could not be identified prompted some people to speculate that SpaceX was trying to avoid public panic or prevent further footage of the object. Most of the live streams capture what appears to be a perfectly flawless rocket launch or space footage, and so the sudden end to this event was peculiar enough and left many of them mystified over the same. Technical malfunction is one explanation for the shutdown. Launches can be streamed live from space with complex technology and satellite connections. Loss of signal or interruptions may occur, especially at critical moments, but because the shutdown occurred right after the object was seen, viewers connected the two and concluded that the feed was cut intentionally to hide what was happening. Maybe SpaceX had some safety and security procedures they needed to adopt. Any sudden movement of the spacecraft can be one thing that requires time for a mission control team to observe the risk involved without all the commotion. Switching off the feed may give their team sufficient time for analysis of the object on whether it was a potential threat to the crew and the spacecraft. While safety is usually the main driving force, the timing allowed room for people to assume something out of the ordinary was happening. Conspiracy theories began to surface overnight, with some suggesting that SpaceX might have known about extraterrestrial activity or other unexplained phenomena in space, and had intended not to let people know. The silence of SpaceX after the shutdown only added to these theories, as enthusiasts began to fish around the footage for whatever might have happened. Even though SpaceX explained similar incidents with rational theories, the moment of silence helped the theories thrive at this point. In the final analysis, even if the actual cause of the feed cutoff remains unconfirmed, it is probably due to some routine safety procedure or technical malfunction, both common features of space missions. The interest in this particular case, however, reflects how the public is interested in the space adventure and the mystique surrounding it. For most, the shutdown remains a thrilling what if, which is all the more proof that how much excitement and mystery space missions continue to bring. Speculation and conspiracy theories. An unidentified object had appeared in space during the SpaceX Polaris Dawn mission. A sudden shutdown of a live stream sent into a frenzy of speculation and conspiracy theory across social media and online forums. However, to many viewers, the timing seemed a little far from coincidental, especially since there was something about extraterrestrial life to which Elon Musk had made plenty of mysterious, sometimes playful references. Musk is well known to brew curiosity. He was constantly teased about his alien-related musings, claiming that he's not adverse to their presence but merely joked about it. It was so abrupt at the end of the live feed that theories began floating like space debris that SpaceX would have caught something much bigger than the latter. The most popular theory says that it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft that had done a close flyby along the rocket. Proponents argue that in closing up the stream, SpaceX was trying to prevent public exposure of this potentially radical encounter, something that happened during the Apollo missions to the moon, where astronauts were said to have had a similar anomaly. Long-standing UFO theorists suspected that space agencies might even possess evidence of alien life which they are not telling the public about. Hence, the SpaceX incident is one of the most promising candidates for what they claim to be an ongoing cover-up that spans decades. The other theory is that SpaceX and governmental agencies could be in partnership, wherein SpaceX operates with a sort of unspoken agreement to censor any unusual sightings. Proponents point to the shift of late in the U.S. government's position on unidentified aerial phenomena, given that the Pentagon, for one, has increasingly accepted that there are indeed unexplained phenomena surrounding military operations. For conspiracy theorists, not much stretching of the imagination is required to understand the fact that such an entity will take this extent of secretiveness into their civilian space missions, and companies like SpaceX are colluding, so no sensitive video goes out there to circulate. They say further that the thing was perhaps not of alien origin, but is a more sophisticated military surveillance drone or reconnaissance tool. Perhaps it is because it is alleged that the government is secretly testing classified next-generation technology by using civilian space missions as cover. If so, then SpaceX might have been requested to stop the stream in a bid not to capture sensitive footage. Evidence is scarce, but this theory cannot be said to strictly lack sense, given that the space industry often coordinates with defense agencies, and there is well-documented history of secret military tech tests happening. But the proximity to a live feed is where the mystery adds an essence for supporters of the theory. Others who are a little more apathetic to what might have prompted the alleged cover-up see the case of Mum's silence at SpaceX only ignites public enthusiasm about mystery. In its explanation, SpaceX said that incidents relative to what has been said previously in technology have already been contributed by ice debris or rocket parts. Not saying anything to it might have maybe done something for those enthusiasts in interpreting the incident as they like while keeping it up. For some, the fact that it is not being explained is at least as suspicious as the event itself, and has become a hypothesis that perhaps SpaceX is hiding information from people because they fear causing panic or confusion. Whatever it was, alien, military, or just something stray that happened to end up in space, it is pretty obvious these sightings capture the imagination of the public. Space missions undertaken by well-profiled figures like Elon Musk add way more media attention to a project. With each unidentified footage seen along with mystery, the audience's hands are raised, seeking something beyond their universe. True though not explained, this event marked the great mix of modern technology and mystery and public inquisitiveness that fuels an interest to explore the vast expanse of space so not explained. Starlink's role in space exploration. Space has been changing with SpaceX's Starlink satellite network, which will provide a high-speed and reliable way of communication for missions such as Polaris Dawn. Initially designed to provide worldwide internet coverage, Starlink has evolved into a significant means of transferring large data volumes at very fast speeds between Earth and spacecraft. The Starlink network of low Earth orbit satellites allows for real-time data transmission to mission control and enables missions to monitor and analyze equipment performance as well as environmental conditions in real time. Its feature of laser communication technology ensures high-speed transfer of data from satellites without requiring any relay on the ground. This means that with Polaris Dawn, one can transmit data directly from space to Earth without going through common communication delays and with less reliance on stations on the ground. This new system not only increases the speed of data transfer, but also the accuracy and timeliness of crucial information, which makes this a game changer in long-duration missions and deep space exploration. With the high-speed data transmission capabilities, Starlink ensures complete coverage and connectivity for the astronauts even when they are far away from Earth's orbit. In Polaris Dawn, the crew would be able to communicate perfectly, receive real-time instructions, and even provide live updates with the mission control and public. This continuous connectivity will have implications in future missions going to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Connecting to Earth may prove essential for mission success and safety of the crew. Starlink can also provide high data transfer rates useful for advanced scientific research on space missions. For instance, on the Polaris Dawn mission, the crew performed several experiments in health monitoring and environmental observation, all of which involved large sets of data that had to be transmitted back to Earth. Starlink will make it possible to transfer these sets of data fast back to Earth, and this would allow researchers to analyze findings in real time and respond in time if necessary. This will expand the depth and scope of research conducted in space, pushing the boundaries of the possibilities available to researchers and astronauts in low Earth orbit and beyond. With further planning on more ambitious journeys from SpaceX, the role of Starlink in space missions is bound to increase further with distance from Earth, in which the further from Earth the mission goes, the higher the need for dependable and fast communication for navigation, transfer of data, and coordination. Starlink's success in augmenting Polaris Dawn's capabilities speaks to its promise of supporting expeditions even farther out into space, potentially all the way to Mars, where communication issues are much more extreme. With Starlink, SpaceX is laying the infrastructure for humanity's next leap outward into the cosmos. What was the object? Expert analysis. This object has been the subject of much speculation, and experts have had a field day weighing in on what it could have been. The frequent presence of debris and natural particles around space missions means that many aerospace specialists say it was probably a piece of space debris or ice. In the harsh environment of space, rockets create ice that can break off and travel very near to a spacecraft. Occasionally, it reflects sunlight in such a fashion that these particles seem mysterious to earthly viewers. One other debris in space that is popularly known to cause potential risk or hazard is the thousands of pieces orbiting Earth and which travel at a very fast speed. In fact, SpaceX missions are no different from other space operations about this debris. According to astrophysicists, because space has only limited gravity, small objects like rockets shedding parts during launches have shed fairings or thermal insulation in huge pieces, thus giving this impression of traveling very rapidly when caught on camera. Experts suggest it is possible that the object could have been a fragment from the Falcon 9 rocket, possibly released during its separation stages. But other space analysts question it, since it is just a little too close and arrived at such an inconvenient timing at liftoff as well. In fact, other researchers speculate that it might just be an unintentional rocket insulation or equipment fragment because of the speedy changes in temperature that may expand and then contract some parts of equipment to cause some unimportant, unnoticed breakaways. Unplanned and yet harmless, the thing occurs normally until it does present itself on a live feed in a very freakish manner. Some UFO enthusiasts and experts interpret the issue in a different sense. According to them, the sudden emergence of an object and hasty shutdown of the live stream more indicates some twist. The trajectory of the object and its unusual movement might be something other than usual debris. There is no direct evidence of the alien theory, but the unsolved nature of the sighting and relative silence from SpaceX have managed to keep such ideas alive among true believers. Most experts conclude that the object was probably a harmless fragment or particle, either ice, equipment insulation, or debris associated with the launch process. Until SpaceX makes an official statement on the sighting, it is left to speculation, and another mystery of space has been added to the books. It reminds one of the many things that make space travel complicated and uncertain as one ventures out into the uncharted territories beyond planet Earth. So what does this mysterious sighting mean for the future of space exploration? How this incident fits into the bigger picture of space exploration. This is precisely what happened with an unidentified object by Polaris Dawn.
As long as it did, and the Crew 8 guys with some pretty, impressive photography skills got a couple more weeks in space.
A really refreshing example of the challenges and mysteries associated with space travel. The farther we go into the cosmos, the more we have to encounter mysterious objects and weird events in our journey. Every event from ice shards to actual debris threats showcases the dangers of space exploration and the importance of proper planning and precautions. The observation reminds how much is yet to be discovered, not only about the physical environment of space, but about the unsuspected dangers that may appear in such missions. That alone goes to show that there is a greater interest in knowing what's out there and drives the interest in all space research. Space travel has, for one, popularized the concept of traveling into space, especially if it is led by civilians as seen with the recent boom in success by companies such as SpaceX. It has thrown the doors open for millions to live the thrill and mystery of discovering what lies beyond the known world. This increased visibility places the events in space,
communicating back to the team that built the suits that are collecting data to iterate to the next ones,
such as the mystery object, into the public eye, spawning conversations, speculations, and an increased investment in space efforts. Incidents like these are scientifically important to point out the pressing need to study space debris and its management. Since there are thousands of fragments and objects orbiting Earth, much research goes on to understand how space agencies as well as private organizations would mitigate the effects of debris on future missions. One of the various emerging examples is that of this detection by Polaris Dawn. Even a small, seemingly harmless particle can be a real concern and lead to calls to create space surveillance technologies that can detect, avoid, or even clean out debris from critical paths. This mystery of unidentified objects can also be said to have a broader context in which it reflects the question about whether we are alone in the universe or not. Even though most space experts would assert that these sightings are probably debris or just natural particles, each incident brings the debate back and sparks further research into astrobiology and the search for extraterrestrial life. Both government agency and private firm missions have increasingly been driven by the thrill of discovery and the hope that exploration could yield evidence of life beyond Earth. It all fits into a larger narrative of humanity's curiosity and determination to seek through the cosmos. It highlights the intertwined marriage of leading technological advancements, scientific inquiry, and public interest propelling modern-day space exploration. As these ventures reach further depth, being to the Moon, Mars, and beyond, there's always a surprise encounter with ice particles or unknown objects that raises the anxiety but, in turn, underscores the cry to better comprehend the vast expanse that surrounds the planet in question. The bigger question, are we alone? The coming across of an unknown object during the Polaris Dawn mission has made humanity raise the ultimate question: are we alone in this universe?
The universe, the good old universe, forget about quantum mechanics, okay? Just like the cosmological universe where we see all the galaxies and everything.
This mystery has been running in the minds of scientists, philosophers, and more generally, any stargazer for centuries, with so many theories, studies, and speculations. Every new space mission, especially those with sightings like that during Polaris Dawn, reignites interest in finding evidence of life beyond Earth. It would seem increasingly plausible in this universe of ours, comprising billions of stars and planets, that somewhere else might hold life. Every space mission gets closer to a discovery. From a scientific perspective, space agencies and research institutions are in a quest for signs of life. They seek such signs not only in distant galaxies, but also in our very own solar system. And among them are Mars, Europa, and Enceladus. The discovery of water underneath the surface of Mars and geysers of life-giving and significant chemical properties on other moons, like Europa and Enceladus, seems to hint at some conditions that may be supportive to life. With each new mission, researchers continue collecting data, hoping to identify a biological marker or a chemical signature that could indicate extraterrestrial life. Such sightings as were observed in the Polaris Dawn incident also highlight the growing interest by private companies like SpaceX to investigate questions surrounding such sightings. Space missions led by civilians open up more avenues for capturing and analyzing anomalies, thus diversifying data on unexplained objects or phenomena. The more that space travel is done by the private sector, the greater the chances are of detecting any kind of unusual occurrence to examine whether these sightings may have a natural, man-made, or perhaps something else source. In fact, the US government has also increased its attention to UAPs through the public release of reports on the mysterious objects spotted within Earth's atmosphere. This means that the quest for life and questions from unknown phenomena is scientific, but also governmental, with national security implications as well. By acknowledging the existence of UAPs, agencies are paving the way for more transparent research, and the probability of discoveries by private companies, government agencies, or individuals being released to the public increases. Ultimately, while most sightings, such as the one viewed during Polaris Dawn, are explained as being debris or other phenomena, they feed this human need to understand what is beyond. Are we alone? Is as much about humanity's desire to connect with the unknown as it is about science. Each mission, each sighting, every scrap of evidence makes a part of another's journey to find out if some life other than what we have exists. Until we have finally received the answer, secrets of space will continue inspiring us to explore, keep the eyes open to the horizon, and remind us how vast, untapped there is in the world and beyond our world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into one of space's most intriguing mysteries. If you enjoyed exploring this cosmic encounter, don't forget to hit that like button. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Do you think we're alone? And make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Tap the notification bell so you're the first to know when our next video drops. And if you're ready to keep going, click on the video on your screen now to uncover even more thrilling space stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.